Hello! I want to help you guys increase our score for the CFA that we just took. There is a worksheet. You can find this on Canvas Calendar. This will change from year to year. So go through, find it on Canvas Calendar. I have gone through and I've analyzed your quiz, and I want to go over some basic questions with you. You will then go through and retake your quiz later today after you've watched this two, maybe three times. Okay, superposition. The law of superposition talks about the order in which things are deposited on Earth. Older things are deposited first and they end up on the bottom of the rock record. Younger things, these come at the end. So these are deposited last. So the youngest is last, and the oldest is deposited first or on the bottom. The youngest would be on top. Make sure that you understand this. If I were to find a rock and it was found here, I would know that the rock was younger than a rock found down here. So, based on this picture, oldest layers are on the bottom. Youngest layers are on the top. Feel like I'm doing Dora the Explorer. Did you figure it out yet? I love it. That's how I learned a lot of things growing up. Okay, so right here, we're going to go through and we're looking at this picture. This is called a volcanic intrusion. A lot of the buildings in downtown Salt Lake are made out of granite. Granite is a volcanic intrusion. This granite, or you can think of it as lava rock, cuts through these other layers. Why does it rise? Well, it rises because it's less dense. We'll talk about that here shortly in the next week or so. But we have layer G cutting through layer N, layer A, and layer T. So, in order for G to come through, we have to know that these other layers were deposited. Does layer G cut through S? No. So we could say no volcanic intrusion runs through layer S. Does the volcanic intrusion run through layer A? Well, A is this boundary line, so we're going to leave A alone. Let's change this, and let's just get rid of this part right here. Does this volcanic intrusion... Oh, duh, A was right there. So does this volcanic intrusion run through A? Yes. The lava rock cuts through A. Does the lava rock cut through N and T? Yes. But the one that it doesn't cut through is S up here. Okay, so N and T, yes. The lava rock cuts through. One more time, we want to make sure we understand this is called a volcanic intrusion. Okay. And to do schema, to do text to self, we know that a lot of the buildings in Salt Lake were made out of granite that they were able to mine out of the quarries. Okay, next. This black line right here is called a fault. We live on a fault called the Wasatch Fault. That's going to be responsible for a lot of the earthquakes that we'll study. That's a big reason why we had an earthquake 5 years ago. This is the Wasatch Fault. And yes, I did just date this video. Okay, so this black line is called a fault. Let's take a look at layer 11. That's this layer 11 right here. If you zoom in, you can see the word erosion. And I'll zoom in just a little bit. Okay, so 11 is above the fault line. That lets me know that layer 11 came after the fault. Control B. The rock layer labeled 8. 8 is this thick blue line or thick blue layer. We know that 8 came before the fault. Why do I know that it came before the fault? Because the fault was able to go through it. The fault was not able to go through 11 or 12 because 11 and 12 hadn't been deposited yet. So we know that the fault goes through all of these different layers. This right here would be another volcanic intrusion. The fault goes through this volcanic intrusion, and the fault does not go through 11. That lets us know that 11 was deposited after the fault had happened. Okay. We see lots of questions on this with relative dating. Who's the youngest? Who's the oldest? I already told you that I'm dating myself. This picture was taken when my daughter Remy came home. This is my dad, and this is me. Well, we can tell who the oldest is. That's my dad. Love you, Dad. We know that he's got some gray hair. Yeah, I'm losing hair, but my dad's got the gray hair. I don't quite have the gray yet. So my dad is the oldest, and Remy is the youngest. This is called relative dating. No, it doesn't have to be just because I've got my relatives here, but it allows us, relative dating allows us to compare. Now, it doesn't allow us to know the age. Just by looking at this picture, do you know how old the baby is? No, you don't. You don't know that Remy, at the time of this picture was taken, was 4 days old. You can't tell that. So you can't tell the age just by looking at the person. You can't look at this and say, yes, Mr. Wadsworth is obviously 34. Well, we don't know that Wadsworth's 34. He is, but we can't tell it just by looking at this picture. If I look at this, do I know that the oldest person in this picture is 64? No, I can't know that because I have to do absolute dating. Absolute dating will give you an age. Absolute dating, that's going to deal with stuff like radioactive decay. That's going to deal with stuff like the half-lives. And that gives us specific time. There are ways that we can figure out how old the Earth is, but we would not want to use relative dating. So all of these pictures that we've been doing today are relative dating. Again, you don't know how old my daughter is in this picture. All you can tell is that she is younger than me, and you can tell that I am younger than my dad because he has gray hair and I do not. Thank you, guys. I hope that if you go through and watch this a couple times, you'll be able to go through and increase your score. Thank you so much. Good luck, and have a great time.